companies that are nimble and can pivot and outmaneuver and get ahead of the game, they're going to be way more successful in the long run. So we're seeing a lot of these, I don't want to call them smaller companies because there are some big companies out there, but really take advantage of TikTok Shop, for example, and like they're crushing it in revenue, right? And like a lot of the major companies are almost like scared to take that approach. So
Funny how.
Come here though. Yeah, he's crazy, see? Who are you?
We interrupt this program to bring you a special
Usually, the contracts I put together are raw. So like
just raw footage.
Yeah.
It's so much easier.
So much
just let, I mean, I prefer that approach, like getting all the raw files color corrected and then just have my team edit.
That's right. Well, because that's the thing is most time when, you know, companies do UGC stuff, they either want the raw, the TikTok style, like testimonial version, or they just want to edit it in-house because you have a certain brand guidelines that you need to follow and shit like that. So yeah, but that's kind of where I'm at now. So it's going really well to where it's like, same thing with the podcast. Like this is why we're at, shout out MMG Studios. Yeah. No, it's cool because I just don't have the time to do shit at the house anymore. Yeah. Like even my podcast, it's that 4 hours of work it has to be paid work.
Sure.
It can't be.
Totally get it.
The podcast is just a hobby.
No more free shit anymore.
I know, man. It's kind of annoying too. You know, a lot of people ask me like, dude, how do you make time for working out and the kid and the podcast and you also have a job? It's like, I make the time just because you know, if you like your favorite show on Netflix, you're going to watch it. Well, instead of doing that, I podcast. I don't watch a lot of shows on Netflix.
You've been podcasting for a few years now, right?
Yeah, almost, legit 2 years.
Okay. Because
the pandemic, I was just fucking around.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but yeah, hardcore, like to the point now where I've ducked out for 2 years straight, almost an episode per week. And now my YouTube channel finally got monetized. Cool. So now I'm making, you know, between $200 to $500 per month. Nice. Just off monetization ads.
Just from the podcast?
Just from the podcast.
That's so cool.
Well, my YouTube as a whole, which is primarily the podcast, but I also do I do tech reviews and, you know, I do this new thing where I bring my daughter who just turned a year, but we do this. It's like the most fun I have. Unfortunately, she doesn't talk yet. But when she starts to talk, I think it'll be more interesting. But really it's just me talking to her and I review toys.
That's sick.
With her. So like her favorite toys I'll bring on the podcast and we'll just kind of shoot the shit and talk about it.
That's so cool.
So that's a lot of fun too.
Do you ever miss being in events or no CVG space?
No.
Not at all?
No. It's different. It's just different now. Like if you asked me a year ago, I'd say yeah, for sure. But you know, with the kid, it's like.
I mean, you had to travel a lot with the events.
Yeah. You know, the one thing I did like about events is just the networking, which is I think the reason why I love podcasting is it's, you just get the opportunity to just talk to a lot of people and you know me, I just like to talk. So like the event space was the cool part about it was bridging the gap between maybe the venue and the brand or the venue and the artist or you know, whatever the event is at the time. Like one of my favorite things we did was Orlando Vacation with Dirty Heads. So I'm negotiating a contract with Dirty Heads, which was, you know, still is one of my favorite bands, like back when I was a kid. Now here I am meeting the whole team and I'll bring in a videographer and we'll capture content and then I'll tell them to put up, you know, vertical clips and we'll do all that. But then I'm also like setting up the event space and you know how it is. And, you know, where's the 10x10s go? And okay, the band goes here, the neons go here, and doing all that stuff was super rad. And then seeing it on Saturday at 7 p.m., fucking 10,000 people, like doing their camera. Oh my God, look at that. Oh shit, the neon over there. And it's like, yeah, I did that. Like you're videoing everything that I worked for the last couple months. That to me was the cool part about the events is like being at the event and watching people enjoy the event, them never knowing who the fuck I am, but like just being that guy was pretty rad.
I remember when, I don't know, I was stressing out about an event and I asked you, I was like, how do you like manage kind of the stress?
Yeah.
And you told me, you're like, hey, let me tell a little secret. You're like, at the end of the day, everyone out there, no one's going to know if you made a mistake or not. Yeah. Unless it's like, unless you're going to get the event canceled, right? Then people would know. But that kind of made me feel it at ease a little bit. And just, because events are very, very stressful. And that's what people don't understand, right? I did field marketing for 7-8 years before I transitioned to the brand side and then more into a leadership role. And I loved events, but it is a lot of moving parts, right? Everything from the contracts, negotiating the contracts, the samples, staffing, creative design, right, for all the consumer facing assets. So yeah, it is a lot of artist coordination. So people don't realize that, and many times you don't have a full team. It's just one or two points of contact. That's right. Putting together this massive production. for everyone else to have fun. But I still miss, I don't love traveling as much as I used to. Like I used to travel like almost 2 weeks a month. And I got pretty over it. So now I'm happy not traveling that much, but I definitely still have a soft spot in my heart for events.
I know. I think I always will too, just because it's so unique and not everyone, has an opportunity to even be like near that at all. Because when you think of marketing, what do you think of? You think of advertising, maybe you think of social media, right? Like you don't really think of like the actual face-to-face aspect of it. And it's such a big part of marketing. And just people don't understand that side. So to be in it, and to your point, that was my biggest thing with the companies we were at before, the names redacted, but it's these fucking big corporations. The problem with them is they know how to squeeze employees. And when you start, because right after I went to that big company, I went to a startup, right? And that startup had a huge budget, not for the events, they did for that, but for my salary. They're like, hey, what did you do at your old company? And I laid it out and they go, and if you want to take on this, we'll pay you X amount per year. And I'm like, that's crazy. So it's so funny that the startup expectations and like their goals and what they want to do versus like a big corporations who actually have the billions of dollars, but they're choosing not to utilize the right way. Because what do they know? They know, okay, if you get sick of it after 2 years,
We'll replace you.
There's a line of fucking 100 people that are gonna take that job. And that was the one thing I didn't miss about it, was because I did so much work and I was so passionate about it. And a big reason why I did the podcast is from my marketing background, was because I used to do it on the side. Like I used to interview athletes and, people that were in that marketing industry and just shoot the shit and talk to them. Like on site, the B-boys who, they were actually at the Olympics because breakdance was a part of breakdance. Was
one and done.
Yeah, but I signed and worked with these breakdancers.
I remember.
Yeah, and it was so great. Like, what was that event in Miami that
I did? Food and Wine.
Yeah,
Food and Wine, yeah.
So much fun.
That was really cool.
But they would come, I'd bring my wireless mics and I'd sit them down and we'd have like a podcast. And I was like, this is dope.
That was like pre-TikTok days too.
That was pre-TikTok. Yeah, it was pre-everything really from that space. And then I showed that to my boss and I'm like, hey man, we can grab these clips and we could post it, internally or externally. We could save it and use it down the road. They're like, no, we're good. I'm like, whatever. But I posted it on my platform and now here I am. That's one thing that I'm the most passionate about. And then funny enough, they do that now. Like they actually do what I said they should have done. They're not paying people to do it. They're just taking someone that was at the event space or doing a regular job and they're like, hey, we also want you to do a podcast. So they're essentially doing what I wanted them to do, but now they're taking advantage of the employees as per usual.
Yeah, I think UGC wasn't that big. People didn't really understand the impact about it back then. And I think content has shifted so much from like your traditional salesy advertising sort of professional content to like UGC. UGC converts a lot better now.
Yeah.
But like with any corporation, I think it takes them a while to like really understand what the next big thing is. And I think companies that are nimble and can pivot and outmaneuver and get ahead of the game with like different platforms, for example, TikTok Shop, right? We're seeing a lot of that now. They're going to be way more successful in the long run. So we're seeing a lot of these, I don't want to call them smaller companies because there are some big companies out there, but really take advantage of TikTok Shop, for example, and like they're crushing it in revenue, right? And like a lot of the major companies are almost like scared to take that approach. So
yeah, which is so funny because like most of these big companies, they're big companies because they took a risk at some point. They like Monster Energy, for example, they took the sugar-free approach, even though it was already a thing, but they innovated and made something a little bit different, and then it created this whole new category. Then you have Reign, and then you have Bang that followed that, and then Celsius, and then like all these brands followed this sugar-free, better-for-you drink, and it was a risk because what sold the most? What sold the most was high sugar, corn syrup, the sugary Coca-Colas and those drinks. So to take that risk and go for a healthier route was a risk, but now that's actually taken over more so than the latter, right? So it's
for sure. I mean, they saw white space, took a risk, and then not only that, but I think where Monster and a lot of these brands that followed succeeded was being able to drive incrementality to the category, right? So a lot of people think when you're launching a brand, you need to, there's this mentality. I'll give energy drinks as an example just because that's been like my background, right? Like we need to pull market share from Red Bull, right? They're the biggest ones, but it's like, how do we, that's obviously part of the formula, but what people don't understand is there's so much of a bigger white space with people that are not in the energy drink category yet. Maybe coffee drinkers, right? Maybe matcha drinkers. So, okay, what value proposition can you offer them that's going to drive them to the category? And then that extends all the way to the top. I mean, when you're talking to category managers, buyers, if you're telling them that, hey, we are driving X% of new customers to your stores, they're going to choose that brand over another one. Because right, you're providing a whole untapped audience that wasn't shopping there before.
Yeah.
And we've seen it happen with soda recently too. I mean, you have Coke, Pepsi, and then look at Olipop and Poppy. They're driving this incremental, crazy amount of consumers that would have never consumed Coke or Pepsi because they have a better for you proposition, fun branding, cool influencers, et cetera, et cetera.
I mean, it's literally playbook, right? Because like what happened with White Claw,
exactly.
Right? It started this whole, this crazy. It's alcoholic sparkling water. It's fascinating how it shifted, but then now it got to the point to where, okay, people really like the booze, right? They like the IPAs. They want the high alcohol content, and then we shifted to White Claw sparkling alcohol, and then we wanted like 9% White Claws. Okay, cool. But then now it's like, oh, that's too much alcohol, so now we want alcohol-free drinks. So now all these companies like Heineken and Guinness, now they're going zero alcohol. And
then you have the small players trying to latch onto that and say like, you want to come in as a non-alcoholic option. And
it's funny because you look at the market like as a whole, if you was to write it down, beverage in particular, but if you were to write all that down and you're like, why would they do this? It doesn't make sense to be in all these different well, the reason is go to your local 7-Eleven, go to any convenience store and look at how many doors they have. And the idea is every company wants to be in each of those doors. So like your energy drinks, they want to be in the coffee door. So they want to have a coffee flavored brand, right? Your Cokes, they want to be in the energy category. They want to be in the alcohol category. They want to be everywhere. And that's because in every single door, there's an opportunity, incrementality.
Even with water, right? I mean, there's water is water, but there's so many different, I can't name all of them, but there's like your luxury water, there's your premium water, there's your flavored water, there's your like lower entry, like bargain water, right? I mean, the waters you're going to find at Whole Foods are going to be different than the waters you find at Walmart, right? And they're all categorized different. Again, I haven't worked directly in the water industry, but the water industry is fascinating. I mean, just look at what Liquid Death did, right? I know. Everyone talks about Liquid Death. Yes, they are geniuses in marketing, but I mean, they're just visionaries, right? What they're doing there. And now they're expanding beyond water. Now they're doing iced tea. Yeah. And I heard through the grapevine, they're going to be expanding to even beyond that, potentially carbonated soda, something like that. So
crazy. Which is so ironic that they all take that shift originally of like doing one thing in particular. Like, it's like they're talking shit about the Coca-Colas and the Pepsi of the world. And they're like, you don't need that. You just want Liquid Death, just water, no BS. But then here we are, less than 5 years later. Now they're going in all these different categories. And they're geniuses for sure.
Makes sense.
It makes total sense. And who knows, maybe like a Mr. Beast would take a category like chocolate, really kind of shock the market a little bit because he actually made a chocolate bar, the Beast Bar, right? That is legit like a chocolate bar. It's like 4 or 5 ingredients versus like a Hershey's that has a bunch of BS ingredients because they've been around 100 years. So it's like sometimes you need that innovator to go into the space to reshift and change up the market a little bit. I always compare it when I was in the industry, it was like you need an Elon Musk of each category. So like whether it's chocolate, beverage, whatever, you need someone that comes in and it literally takes whatever that category is. Like Elon took EV cars. And now you look at every single vehicle, Ford, Chevy, everything. Now they're doing EVs.
Sure.
So he was kind of like bold for doing it, and people laughed at him and said EV's not the future. And I still don't think it's the future because you need a little bit of both. Just like everything else, like Coca-Cola is never going to go out of business. But you can't just have Coke. You got to have those little options and stuff. Yeah.
I think it's funny you bring up Mr. Beast because he's arguably the biggest influencer in the world, right? By far.
For sure. Yeah.
And I know his chocolate has done fairly well, but I would imagine that for someone like him, it should like be the number one selling, right? It should outsell Mars. It should outsell Hershey's.
Sure.
And it just kind of goes to show you that we see it time and time and time again with these celebrity-backed brands. Yeah. Just having the celebrity name alone is not going to drive the velocity in stores.
No.
And I think
definitely not in retail,
I think
for sure.
Influencers and a lot of people that maybe have not been in the industry for a very long time think that's all you need.
Yeah.
But they don't understand there's such a path to driving consumers to retail. So half the battle is getting the product on shelf. That's right. So yes, I'm Mr. Beast. Hey, I'm the biggest influencer in the world. let me get this product in all Walmarts.
Yeah.
Of course, why not? You know, category manager is going to say yes, but then it's like, what's your plan of attack to target, 4,000 Walmarts across the country, drive the velocity, meet those thresholds, outsell the other brands? That Mr. Beast can't do that.
No.
Right? I don't care how big of a name you are. You need to understand your DMAs.
Yeah. And you're competing with 100 years of experience with Mars.
Exactly.
So
And then another really, really good example is Zoa. Zoa has rebranded 5 times now since they launched. They've gone from the super masculine 16-ounce can to 12-ounce, to then a more pink can. I mean, and they just cannot drive velocity. Yeah. They have the best partners in the world.
Yeah.
They have Molson Coors, right? They have nationwide distribution.
Sure.
And
they have The Rock.
Yeah, exactly. And they just cannot turn.
Yeah.
I think it comes down, I mean, their product just, in my opinion, just doesn't, it comes down to flavor. It's not that good.
I mean, their new brand, I think it was the black slim can. That wasn't bad. But like originally when they first launched, it was that big old thick boy. And
it was like a 16-ounce gray can.
Yeah. And the orange one tasted like the Flintstone vitamins.
Yes, it did.
Right?
Yeah.
And it was like,
which is good in the 90s, I remember.
Of course.
So good.
Like I would liquefy and snort it. But like now you can't compete when you have like the
Alani, Celsius. I mean,
they're just so good. People are so used to that. You can't go to the Cheesecake Factory and then right afterwards have a salad. Like it just doesn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like the fact now they're trying to rebrand again, you only get that one chance to do it. Celsius is one of those rare things. Monster Energy, kind of similar thing to where they were able to do it, but there's not a lot of brands that can rebrand the second time and be successful. Mm-hmm. You really only get one chance.
And when you do a rebrand, it's going to be a full rebrand, right? Yeah. Messaging, education. You have to have an entire 360 approach to it versus just like innovating the can. Right. Because now it's not a rebrand, now it's just innovation.
That's a soft launch. Yeah.
Exactly.
You got to do something big. Yeah, it's interesting. I've always loved, and I think I'm always going to have a passion for the beverage industry just because I've been doing it I did it for 15 years before I went away. So it was such a big part of my life. It shifted though a little bit. And I think a lot of it became to my health and wellness aspect of it. Not saying that, all companies are bad, but just a lot of companies that I worked for, I was like high up. Mm-hmm. And I know what the MO is with a lot of these big companies. The MO is take over space. Doesn't matter what happens. Just do whatever you got to do to get to shelves. And I was not, which is a big reason why I pivoted to working for myself. It was like, I just could not work for a company that was like so dedicated to poisoning like the consumer to the point to where, we'll do it until they notice it and then we'll switch to better for you. Mm-hmm. Like what I like about the company you're at and a few other handfuls is they know what time it is already. Like they've seen 25 years of mistakes. Mm-hmm. They're not going to be, these big energy drink brands. They actually want to better lives of people taking it. And they know the ingredients need to be, whether it's nootropics or, the clean caffeine or less caffeine. Mm-hmm. Like when companies started coming out with like 400 mgs of caffeine.
Insane.
It's like, okay, so now you just don't even care about...
You just want to kill people at this point, honestly.
Because you don't care about the regulation that's put in place.
There really is no regulation, which is crazy.
Well, the recommended is 400 a day.
I mean, supplements and energy drinks are not FDA regulated.
No.
They're not, right? You don't have to get it approved, nothing. Yeah.
Nothing is, which is hilarious.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Like that means no pill, no drink, no anything that has to do with the supplement category is regulated by the FDA. So someone could put something on the back of nutritional facts, and as long as they put that little thing that says this statement has not been evaluated by the FDA, they're good.
My favorite is the proprietary blend. That's my favorite.
That's the best.
Yeah. A bunch of shit in there. Just call it proprietary. Yeah, you have to disclose shit.
Yeah. Well, and there's a lot of big companies, like some have actually approached me to sponsor the podcast because I don't want to mention them because I turned them down, but there was a big company that reached out and I actually took their products because it was pretty good. But then when I started like really diving in to research, because as a content creator, when I first started, one of my first clients was a foundation that I worked for, and they wanted me to be a health and wellness consultant. So I would essentially research supplements and things that were the best. And that way the whole team could get on it and they would build a proprietary blend based off what's best in the market. So I did all this research and stuff, and this big company that you probably heard on podcasts before, they reached out and they're like, hey, we want you to say this and this and this, we'll pay you this. And I'm like, okay, but I'm not a big fan just because I I don't know what's in your blend. Well, no, it's proprietary blend that we do this and that. I go, can you disclose it? Is there any backing behind it? No, it's our blend. We make it in-house. Like, we do this. And I'm like, the fact that they could do that and people are ingesting this thinking that it's better for them, maybe it is. Who knows? But
yeah, but I mean, was it like NSF certified or like Informed Sport or anything like that? See, that's if you have like those certifications, at least you know it's been like third-party tests, extensive testing, right? A very like
the facilities are pristine,
super clean.
Yeah, that was a big thing I looked out for was NF or NS.
NSF, yeah. So NSF is the National Sanitation Foundation. Then we are actually, most of our products are Informed Sport, which is very similar to NSF.
Yeah.
And obviously it's all been tested specifically for athletes, right? Because a lot of times these athletes don't even know what they're putting in and they'll fail drug tests, which is a bummer. If you're like going to go compete or like do a fight or something. So,
well, that's a big deal, right? Like I think that's the problem where people don't understand. Now we're starting to become a little bit more health conscious. And when these companies, you would make more money if I'm a business, you would make more money in the long term if you just do clean ingredients and you do things that's going to be best for the consumer. Because look at all these companies now, like all these big brands. They came out with these sugary drinks that, made them a lot of money beforehand, but now they're losing money because people don't want that anymore. Now we're starting to understand what's good and what's bad. So if you just stuck to that and looked out for the consumer, number one, the consumer is very smart. It takes us a while. Same thing with milk, right? Like we kind of shifted from having full milk, like that raw, whole bullshit milk, to now people are either making their own milk or they're doing almond milk or coconut milk. And even some of that stuff, some of those companies take advantage of that because you look at the back of those ingredients and it's like 15 ingredients. Yeah. When I make my own almond milk, there's 2 ingredients.
Yeah.
It's almond water.
Yep. Exactly.
It's not complicated.
Yeah.
But the reason people, companies don't put it up there is because when you put it in a clear container, it settles at the top and it looks disgusting. It looks like dirt water. But that's what is going to be good for it.
Sure.
And I think people are starting to understand they'd rather do that and pay a premium price than to have a sugary BS drink that, could hurt them in the long run. So, I mean, that's why when I looked at like your ingredients, like that new, can you talk about the new can?
The one that Bum Energy?
Yeah. Do you have that?
Of course.
Yeah. So like when you look at like something like the back of that, the ingredients there versus like quote unquote the competitor, it's night and day.
I mean, there's really not a lot in this, right? Obviously, the main, our biggest value proposition or differentiator is that we have half the caffeine of your standard 12-ounce energy drink, so 112 milligrams caffeine. But when you drink it, you get more of that sustained energy and focus because there's a nootropic in it called cognizin.
Right.
So it's got 250 milligrams of cognizin. The daily like recommended dose for actual like to benefit your brain functionality, your actual cognition is 500 milligrams. So if you drink 2 of these, and that's why we formulated the way we did, you can drink 2 of these, still be way under the 400 milligram recommended dose of caffeine. And again, you'll have 500 milligrams with 2 servings. So
yeah, it's huge.
I'll drink one of these in the morning and I'll feel like I'm like cracked out and just be able to like work super focused. Like I took like, Adderall and then I'll drink another in the afternoon.
I had like 3 sips. And I could go for like 4 hours on this podcast. Like
I know it's actually, I mean, I've worked for a number of different energy drink brands, tried all of them as well. And like when I tell you this one really does have a difference, and our buyers see that too. And other industry people, I mean, I'm in the room all the time with not only buyers, but other VPs and other brands, salespeople, and they're drinking on the side.
Yeah.
They'll be drinking instead of their products. So
yeah.
I'm really excited about this for 2025 and beyond.
No, it's legit. And again, I think that's the new wave, man. Like people we're starting to understand like whether it comes to food, drinks, like, companies have cut corners for a long time. And now we're just starting to understand that cans are better than plastic. Regular water is better than sugary, Minute Maid lemonade water. Like, there's just certain things that I think consumers are starting to understand now. And it's exciting because I think if companies pivot and do the right things, these companies are going to make a lot of money. And hopefully these big corporations will pivot as well. But the problem is now you're asking companies with thousands and thousands of people to completely cut certain categories. And there is people out there that still want not good for you drinks.
Like Nos. Who's still drinking?
Who drinks Nos? Full throttle and shit. Sugar and it's like, and also too, it's like those things, when you drink them, there's a noticeable difference. When it's all sugar and it's a little bit of caffeine, like 120, 150 megs.
Dude, I'd be drinking that. Sugar. I feel drunk and I'm sober.
Real. Yeah. It's a weird feeling. It's way different. You know, it's no different than like, I mean, when I took that gum, like that's the same thing too. It's like that type of, because it's more like cognitive function, it's built for good cognitive function, not just for the sugar high. That's the thing I've been trying to lay off a lot is it's just the sugar, especially when I had that health scare. Like if you remember, I had a tumor in my lung out of nowhere and I had to get lung surgery. I had to get a third of my right lung removed.
It's crazy.
Yeah, dude.
Were you a smoker?
I mean, I was like 15 years
Did it have anything to do with that or no?
No. I think it was because of a shot that I got.
Oh.
The little prick I had to get in 2020.
That's crazy.
Because of the company I worked for forced it on us.
Wow.
Cocksuckers. But yeah, that was the big thing. I think that, I mean, you just look at there's more people that have injuries from those than not.
Yeah. Dang.
Yeah. I mean, I know alone just in my circle, I know 4 people that have had respiratory issues, not a tumor in their lung, but yeah, respiratory infections.
That's so fucked
Yeah.
up.
Right when the thing was supposed to wear off.
Us.
Literally. Yeah.
I'm so happy I didn't get it.
Yeah. Smart man. Smart man. So that to me, like, there was a click where I was like, okay. Because I've always been healthy, you know that.
Yeah.
But there was
you're a trainer for years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there was a switch that went off where it was like, okay, I need to do a little bit more because unfortunately the government, companies, not everybody's out
They don't give a fuck.
Yeah, they don't give a fuck.
Are you still vegan?
Yeah, I mean I'll have like eggs every now and then.
Okay.
But yeah.
But no meat.
Regretfully. But you know, it's just
But you made that choice a long time ago, right?
Yeah.
That's not for health issues, right?
No, that's because I was diagnosed with Crohn's a while ago.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
it is health.
that's the only thing for whatever reason just doesn't fuck with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. Although I will say I'll probably break, and I haven't drank in 2 years either.
Really?
Yeah.
Good for you.
2 years sober.
No wine, nothing? No
Nada.
beer? Wow.
Nothing. Not even like wine and cooking. I used to use.
No shit.
for cooking,
Does Brenda still drink?
No.
Yeah?
No, no.
She doesn't drink either?
No, she stopped drinking, you know, because we were trying to get pregnant.
Yeah.
So obviously alcohol doesn't help with that. Sometimes it helps.
Yeah.
If you get wasted and pregnant a girl, that helps. But no, for our purposes, we were trying to be as clean as possible to get pregnant. And then once she did get pregnant, we didn't drink. And I was like, I'm going to do it with you. And then, here we are a year in, still not
You
drinking.
don't miss it?
I don't. I missed it probably for like the first 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, fucking life sucks without alcohol.
Yeah.
Like this is not, like even just little things like just having dinner. Like my biggest problem, because I love pasta, my biggest thing was
Wine.
like, dude,
Red wine?
that hurt. Like I stopped eating pasta for a couple weeks because every time I ate pasta, it was like a crackhead going to Oregon underneath a bridge. It's like, I know there's crack here somewhere.
Yeah.
I need to find it. Like that's how I felt with pasta. So I was like, I need to stop eating it. And then finally it faded away to where I got used to it.
And now it's just, you don't even think about it.
No, I mean, I go out with buddies and
Habitual,
I
yeah.
just have like sparkling water.
Heineken Zero?
No, I don't do that shit. Just because it's all wheat and
Yeah.
barley and all that bullshit. So, yeah, but it's good. I will say, though, did I say I'm going to Italy
And when are you going?
next month? So we bought our tickets and all that stuff. So, yeah, we're going to go out there and I'll probably have wine out there.
For sure.
Because their wine's way different than our wine.
Mia's going next week.
Really?
Yeah.
What part? You know?
Amalfi Coast,
Nice.
Milan,
Yeah.
Naples. No, where else? Rome.
Yeah.
She's going to like 4 different cities.
Sick.
That's her first time going with a bunch of girlfriends. They're going for 2 weeks.
That's
They've
epic.
had it planned for months. So
That's epic.
I'm stoked for her, but I just cannot hear another fucking word every time with them. It's like Italy this, Italy that. And I guess shut the fuck up.
I know,
dude. I've heard
dude.
this about this every single day for the past 2 months.
But Italy is going to be so fun. We're so stoked. We're going to bring the kid.
Yeah, I've
And-
never been.
Yeah,
It's,
we're going to do Rome for, what are we going to do? I think we got 8 days, and the rest is going to be Amalfi Coast. So
you got 8 days in Rome?
Yeah.
Damn.
Just going to, because, Rome, we're staying in Rome. There's a Hilton there that's really nice, and we're going to stay there, but then we'll take the train everywhere else. So, but we're not going to go to any other major cities. I got a buddy who lives in Rome. He's going to show us around. and
So you're
shit.
going for 2 weeks?
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be rad. But I'll eat cheese and pasta and stuff. See, that's another thing where, like,
Well,
if you
the
just
food
look
is
at,
not processed over there, right?
way
Over here,
different.
like it's such a struggle finding whole foods over here. Like
For sure.
even when I go on vacation or like I'll go to Peru, for example, right? Because my family's from Peru, and I'll spend like 2 weeks there, just like not eating like shit, but eating a lot.
right,
Like I eat a lot
more than you
and
do
I don't.
here.
Yeah, and I don't hold back. Like I eat
Right.
like everything is like kind of heavy, but like
Yeah.
I don't gain weight.
Right.
I like lose weight because just because the food is so like not even natural, just whole.
It's
You know
real
what I mean?
foods.
Yeah. And here I'm like trying to diet and shit and like count my macros, and it's like I'm still gaining weight.
Yeah. Like those fuckers in Italy and Europe, dude, they don't count macros. They don't even know what macros
No,
are.
dude, and they're all fucking skinny and like
They're
they also walk like probably 30,000-40,000 steps a day. And
Right. They're just beautiful humans out there too. And they all live to 100 too.
Yeah.
You know, but I think a lot of it has to do with just supply and demand, right? Like you look at, I mean, we got what, 330 million people here in the US. So they don't have that in Europe. So it's not like they need to feed all those people.
True.
So the problem is, what do we have to do to yield more food? Well, we have to
GMOs.
we got to juice up our chickens and our cows, and we got to feed them corn and wheat and fatten them up so that way you can cut them up and make more packaging, right? I mean, just go look at like your grocery store. It's so interesting. The fact that I don't eat meat anymore, I'm obviously well aware of it now. But when you just look at the meat section in the poultry and you just look down the aisle of all that food that's just sitting there, like, is it all going to get sold? Maybe. So if that's just one store and it's all that food, and how many stores are in the country and how many animals had to get killed for that. And then you look at like places like Europe.
It's crazy.
They don't have that.
No.
Like it's a butcher.
You go to the market.
You go to the market.
They
killed the cow or they killed the goat, whatever it is.
It feeds like 20 people. And then they sell out and they go home.
Because legitimately, my buddy was telling me this, is like when they sell out, that's it. Like there's no more, it's not like they have backstock of cows and chickens. So it's just fascinating how we treat food, because they treat it more like a religious experience. It's more like they're grateful for it. You know, they took care of it.
There's still no Cajun, you know, there's no like on demand, on the go.
Yeah.
It's funny you bring up chicken because I was seeing a girl for a little bit whose dad was in the chicken business, specifically chicken, like wholesale business and like reselling business. And he was explaining to me, you know, they go to the store and see like the freeze by date or best before date. He said that's all bullshit. He's like, chicken can go on like, he's like, the chicken you're eating might be like 1.5 years old.
Stop it.
Swear to God. He's like, because as long as you freeze it by that date, they'll just like ship it to another like wholesaler and then just ship it. And like they'll go and like bid on older chickens and get it for way cheaper so they can drive the margins up and then sell it to like a store. So literally it could be like 6, 9, 10 months old, 1 year old.
Yeah, like that.
And it's still technically fresh because all they do is just change the stamp. As long as it's frozen by then, they'll just add another like 2 weeks on that, and then they'll just keep doing that. And that probably, I'm sure that applies to all meat, not just
for
chicken.
sure. Yeah, and I'm sure every company does it.
Yeah.
Because again, I talk about this a lot on the show, where it's like, no matter what you believe or no matter what you think, every human's the same, which is we want to be the best and we want to have the most money. I don't care who you are. That's just a fact, because money is oxygen and we need it. We want the new iPhone. We want all the cool shit. So the people that work in these big corporations are no different. They want money. So if they were told by some government or 1,000 people in their town said, hey, Mr. Corporation, can you please just stop doing that whole thing with the chicken? We want fresh stuff. We'll pay a little bit more, but can you just stop doing that? He's going to look at you and say, no, because when I do that, I make 70% margin versus 30. And he wants more money. And he just doesn't like you. He doesn't know you. He doesn't care about you. He's not going to know you in 50 years when you die. Yeah. Like, he just wants more money. And that is the problem with America, is we're so driven with that innovative greed that we forget about the general population, which is why you go to these places in Europe and they care more about health and well-being and lifestyle. And, you know, these fuckers take a wine break in the middle of the day. Spain, Italy, like everyone, the whole town is shut down and they just hang out and have wine and party in the middle of the day.
It's funny you bring up innovation and greed, because a lot of times, like, these corporations will say that innovation is driven by demand, but I think it's complete bullshit. I think greed is what drives innovation, right? So as a company, you're always looking at what other companies are doing. How are we going to get ahead? And that comes down to innovation, right? It's not that like every time a company pops out a new product, I'm not like, holy shit, thank God they finally brought it out, you know? It's because they want to get ahead of their competitor.
Yeah.
So it's like greed, I think, drives innovation way more than consumer demand.
That's smart. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. That is so true. Yeah. And same thing going back to beverage space. I mean, you know, they want more space, right? You could apply that to anything. They just want to take over that space and be the best.
Yep.
Yeah. Every market's like that. And, you know, there's something to be said about that, because America is the superpower it is, quote unquote, for now. We'll see in November. But we're the superpower that we are because I think of that way of thinking, is because we are greedy, right?
Yeah.
But it's interesting because you look at like other countries like Dubai. right?
Yeah.
And they're super rich. And I mean, China obviously kicks our ass in a lot of ways. Unfortunately, they're, you know, communist. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's in terms of innovation, they're there, right? But they don't act the same way. Most of them don't. In terms of kind of what we're talking about, food, that space. Because if you go to any product, whether it's food or beverage, more often than not, American companies have to change their ingredients to go overseas. Like there's a fun experiment for people that want to try it at home, like Quaker Oats. You can look up Quaker Oats in the UK versus Quaker Oats in America. You just Google it. There's literally a side-by-side photo. You can do this with a lot of other brands, but there's like 7 ingredients in the UK version. There's 20 in the American version.
Europe notoriously is very strict with their regulations. And I mean, coming from the beverage space, like it was always, that's why it's so difficult getting distribution in Europe. Some countries more difficult than others because they are so heavily regulated. So I mean, caffeine is regulated. Like Red Bull is banned in a lot of countries, and Red Bull is actually European. Yeah.
And it's fascinating because then you have to think yourself, okay, so are those companies in the wrong? Or is America putting too much bullshit in their food? So if you ask like a normal American, he's going to be like, well, what we're doing is right? Like we can do whatever we want. I'm going to have steak and cigars tonight for dinner, and I'm going to fuck my wife in my Ford F-150. Like that's the America, because they don't want to get told what to do.
Yeah.
And a lot of corporations take advantage of that. Of course. Which is going back to the whole FDA thing, which is if you slap that on any product, we don't care because we're American and we do whatever the hell we want.
Put whatever you want in your body.
We fucking,
it's your choice.
You're going to tell me not to have sugar? Fuck you. I'm going to eat more sugar now.
Yeah.
Don't have fast food because it's unhealthy?
Yeah.
Fuck you. I'm going to have McDonald's every day now.
Exactly.
Like there's this weird thing that we have. Maybe it's that greed mentality that we have, like instilled in it. Because I have this problem big time, like as a parent now, because everyone busts my balls about, oh, is your kid going to be vegan? And I go, no, but she's also going to eat meat that's good for her. Yeah. Like she has eggs, but she has pasture raised eggs. It costs me $2 more a carton, but I know for sure from the research I do, who knows if they lie about it, but I know that's better than the shit you get at Walmart.
Of course.
So it's like there is a difference. Yeah. Same thing with steak, same thing with grass-fed versus not grass-fed. Yeah. But, you know, there's all these things that I am really focusing on to make sure I'm teaching her to know the difference between the two. Like we just celebrated her 1-year birthday. We did not give her a cake from Publix. We made a blueberry healthy cake. It had like 3 or 4 ingredients because blueberry is her favorite thing. Like she has like 50 blueberries a day. She might turn into a blueberry. It's insane. It's not even exaggeration. She has like, if we don't put blueberries on her plate, she freaks out.
No
it's
way.
So weird. Yeah.
It's so cute.
Because even we're not like that obsessed with blueberries for whatever. But anyway, so we made that. And as we're doing like the cake smashing, we got everyone else cupcakes and sugary bullshit.
Go fuck yourself.
Go eat that bullshit and die in 2 years, kid. So, but they're like, what is she eating? Can we have that? I go, no, it's a healthy blueberry cake. Like, oh, you're going to do that to her? Why don't you just let her live?
Let her be a kid.
But that's so funny how they say, let her live is what they say. Let her live.
That's crazy.
Which is so ironic because you're not doing that. You're getting her addicted to certain things at an early age. Yeah. There's a reason why kids nowadays, when you go inside Walmart or Target or Publix and you see kids running around like they're on Adderall, it's because they're on Adderall. They're on ADHD medication because they're so hyped up with sugar as a kid that they can't control themselves. They can't sit still because mommy gives them fruit roll-ups and fucking Pop-Tarts and all that shit. There's a reason why they're jumping off the walls. You're giving them sugar, you know? So it's like, you can't do that at an early age because they're going to get addicted to that and they're going to want it. And the body's very intelligent. The body is, like, if you ever do a fasting, you know how smart the body is because your body goes into overdrive. Like, your body can adapt very easily. So when you give it that BS or you give it Coca-Cola or you give it whatever, there's a reason why kids don't drink alcohol and smoke cigarettes before the age of 18. Yeah. It's not good for you. Right?
Yeah,
so
you bring up a valid point, right? Raises the question is how closely are, big pharma and I guess big food working together, right?
Right, pretty close.
Way closer than we think because getting all these kids addicted on junk food with sugary foods and then they can't, like you said, sit still. Just give them 10 milligrams of Adderall a day. Starting with 5 and then by the time they're in college, they're fucking ingesting 40, 50 milligrams a day and then you gotta start taking Xanax to come down from it and then you get depressed so you take Lexapro and it's like, now you're hooked for life. Yeah. So there you go.
But meanwhile, you go to overseas in these places, and kids don't act that way.
Dude, ADD doesn't exist overseas. No. I lived in Peru for 6 years. Ain't no one know what the fuck ADHD is. I come here and everybody has anxiety, everybody has ADHD, and I'm not listening. Anxiety and mental health are a very, very important topic, and like we all go through moments like that. Some people more than others, and I totally respect that. But like, there's no way that like only American kids have ADD and depression at the ages that they do, and then the kids in the other countries don't.
Yeah, people don't understand how important culture is and how impactful the people you surround yourself with are. You know, like if you raise a kid in a certain area, they're going to grow up a certain way based off that area. This is just how human nature is. So if you surround yourself with a kid and their friends have cell phones and their friends eat fruit roll-ups and have all these sugary drinks and have Mountain Dew at home, your kid is going to come back, Mommy, Daddy, give me that stuff. Well, why should I? Well, because Billy, Jeffrey, Simon, everyone else has it. Well, now you got a problem, don't you? Because now your kid's going to resent you or hate you because all their friends are getting all the quote-unquote good stuff, and now you're the bad parent. Meanwhile, the other parents on that side, they're not understanding doing the research where it's like, oh, wait a minute, I need to do the right thing. I need to actually have these kids intake the right food and do the right things and not have a cell phone at an early age. I've had this conversation with a lot of other parents that have kids like 3 or 4, and we don't hang out with them because they have iPads. Like at that age.
Yeah. That's crazy.
It's nuts. And it's like, I don't want my kid to consume that. Like she doesn't have screen time at all.
Yeah.
You know, there's
way too young.
Well, not only that, but it's just, there's so much cool shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. We take her outside. We do grounding every day. Like, you know, she gets the sun. We go play outside. We go on walks. Like she works out with me. Meanwhile, like she just stares at me as I work out.
Yeah.
But like, I'm trying to teach her. So as she gets older, she looks at these kids like they're weird. Yeah, because now the problem is a lot of kids that don't have cell phones and eat healthy, they're looked at the weird ones, which is fascinating.
Oh yeah, I went through that. So I think I got pretty lucky growing up in Hawaii because it's a very outdoor place.
Yeah.
So I didn't grow up with I also grew up, you know, in a time when like streaming wasn't big and like video games were popular.
Yeah.
But certainly not in my household. I also like my parents made me drink wheatgrass every morning, and like I thought it was disgusting and resented for them. So when I like finally was in high school and I could drive, I would go to Taco Bell and stuff. But
of course,
anyway, I turned out pretty okay because I didn't really have any screen time either. We didn't have cable. I didn't get my first cell phone until 8th grade. It was a flip phone.
Nice.
And I did get a Nintendo GameCube in 5th grade because my brother and I begged, but my parents were like, "You have to buy it yourselves," and we could only play 1 hour on the weekends after our homework was done.
That's cool. Yeah.
So we had that, and then that was kind of the extent of it. Then when we were older, we got like Xboxes and stuff. We always paid for it, but
yeah.
I mean, our main thing was like we'd surf twice a day. We were competitive surfers, so
that's cool.
That's all we did was surf, travel inter-island, go to the West Coast, and then that was our biggest thing. And it just
and you know that's so important too, like getting out and hitting the water. I mean, there's so many studies that show
just getting outdoors in nature, right? Whether even if it's like just having some sort of discipline. I think like. Again, if you want to play football, basketball, softball, whatever, but just having some sort of extracurricular activities. And I think that extends all the way till you're an adult. Like now that I'm, everyone I've dated in the past, like that's kind of like my one condition. I'm like, you just need to have some sort of like driving motivation hobby, like recreation.
Yeah.
Can't be going to the bar and fucking drinking.
Right.
Right. Everyone goes to the gym. Like what's like your one thing that like you like that's a little bit different, you know?
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a rarity.
That to me is a red flag. If you don't have like some sort of interest or hobby outside of drinking.
Right. Because that's going to go away.
No.
That's going to go away eventually. Yeah, if you don't have some type of hobby that keeps you sane too, like I think everyone should do some form of activity like working out, and that shouldn't be considered a hobby. You know, like what else?
Should be like
that's the standard.
100%.
Yeah, it's like how much water do you drink? Okay, cool. Just because you drink a little bit more water, that's not like a reward. Mm-hmm. You can't say, "Oh, my hobby is working out." No, you should work out.
You're mobile. Congrats.
Like you could walk around. I'm so proud of you.
Yeah.
You know, but it's like I think like a hobby would be, you know, pickleball. Okay, cool. You want to do pickleball? That's fine. But yeah, you got to figure out something to occupy your time because I think that's also a negative, right? Like from a mental health standpoint, there's so much cool shit. Video games, streaming, TV. Like I have all the streaming services. I never watch them. I pay way too much probably for them, but
Same.
Peacock, HBO Max, like Netflix, there's so much cool shit, so many great shows. I'm behind on a lot of stuff, but it's so easy to just sit on the couch.
So easy.
And not do anything. Yeah. So you lose kind of that like ancestry, what it is to be a human being, a Homo sapien, of like getting out and hunting and, getting outside and touching the ground. Like a lot of people look at me weird when I do a lot of grounding and stuff. And sometimes I post about it and they're like, bro, why do you do that? Like, what's the benefits? I was like, first, don't listen to me. Go do your own research. There's a lot of benefits to it. But secondly, on a daily basis, you wake up in the morning, you don't realize this, but you're in your house and you're not even consuming real oxygen.
You're right.
You're in your house. It's filtered oxygen. It's your own filth that's go back and forth. Unless you open up windows, kudos. I mean, I have like plants that.
My windows don't even work.
So you're not ahead of the game. And I have like plants that purify the air, like ZZ plants and things like that are really good to purify. But like if you don't do that, so imagine you wake up at 7 a.m., you work from home, and you're in the house all day. And you're just looking at screens all day. You know what I mean? How are you going to we talk about depression and anxiety and all that. That's a big driver of it is because everyone's looking at these like dope ass TV shows and, John Wick. And you're like, bro, I want to be like John Wick. Like, oh, but I'm not John Wick. I work at fucking Bank of America. My life sucks. Like we always compare like our lives to the screen. And the more you can get out. And like, I've been doing a lot with my daughter where I'll take her out every morning with my dog. In our backyard, you've been there. Massive backyard. We'll go outside. We'll do some grounding. We'll look around. And I've never seen more birds than I have when I had her, like when I started taking her out, because now she identifies it, and she'll you could tell she's trying to say birdie. She's like Bob, Bob, and she's pointing at everything flying. And the first moment she did that, I'll never forget it. It was probably like 6 months ago. She was 6 months old, and she looked at it, and I just immediately got a little misty. And I'm like, imagine what's going through her head. She's seen something fly in the air. She's never seen this before. Imagine the appreciation that she feels. Like she's looking at it like it's, if we were to see an alien, we're like, and she's not care. She doesn't care about Netflix. She doesn't care about what I'm doing. She doesn't care about her milk for the day. She doesn't care about my dog.
She cares about the moment.
The moment, bro. And I'm like, you look at her eyes, you look at a kid's eyes doing that, it'll change your life.
I bet.
Because you don't look at anything like that anymore.
No.
You don't look at your girl. I don't look at my wife like that anymore. Like, the look in their eyes it's intoxicating. And I did that every day I'm even getting a little misty about it, just fucking thinking about it. But I do that every day now, and I look at her and it's crazy. Dude.
That's sick.
So I try to look at everything like that now because, there's a lot of cool shit on the internet, but there's way more cool shit
that we just take for granted. Yeah.
Oh, dude.
I kind of, I mean, I don't have kids, but, and my dog, obviously.
Take your time, by the way.
No, I'm in no rush. But my dog, he will eat the same shit, go on the same walks every day, and he's just so excited all the time. I could be gone for 5 minutes, and he's like, he hasn't seen me in days, That's so great. So it's that like, kind of like naivety, right? Ignorance almost of, it's like a child, right? It's like, right. So it's. I think we all need to look at life through that lens a little bit more.
Yeah, and a dog's a really funny one too. I think it was Neil deGrasse Tyson that said, do you know why the dogs are so happy all the time? And I think he was on a podcast or something. If you want to know how old a dog is at 7 years, right? You heard that?
Yeah, of course.
Well, really think of that like a week. Today is Saturday. Think of like this conversation. A week went by when we got done with this. Yeah. So how would you treat tomorrow? When you know that every day is really a week?
Yeah.
Right? So we always think like, oh, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But you don't think, okay, what if there was just one day and that was a week? So you only get 52 days a year, not 52 weeks. Imagine if you got 52 days a year. That's what a dog gets.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's why a dog is so happy, because they don't have a lot of time on this earth.
I know. It's so sad.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it sucks. But like, imagine their perception. Like, what if we don't know that they're self-aware? What if they know? They're like, today's going to be like 7 days,
Yeah.
What if they're aware of it, and that's why they're just like, every time they see you, like, motherfucker, I might be dead soon. I'm so excited to see you. And they just love life.
That's probably why they sigh so much, like when you leave, because they're like, come on, like, I'm going to die soon.
Come on, bro. What are you doing, bro? I got nothing to do. I got no opposable thumbs. I can't do it. Yeah. So it's cool, man. But yeah, definitely take your time having a kid. It's, I'm almost 40. I mean, I feel like I'm 20.
Yeah.
So like, I think maybe, I don't know, maybe it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago, we had this perception of like, if you're 50 and you have like a kid, they're going to be, you do the math in your head, like, oh, you're going to be 70 when they're 20. But I think now, if I was to be 70 and my daughter was to be like, I'd be fine.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I would be the typical what we think a 70-year-old is.
I mean, 70 used to be ancient, right? Like you're dead. You're dead if you're 70. My dad's almost 70. He's like still surfing every day, playing tennis every day.
That's crazy.
He's like 67. Yeah,
that's crazy.
He's more athletic than me.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, guys could take their time, I think, with kids, especially if you don't have your shit figured out. You know, like you're doing it the right way. You spend some time traveling. You kind of, you know, you're taking your time with shit.
Yeah, I'm taking my time, prioritizing my career, but also my obviously mental health and physical health and all that stuff. So
yeah, well, that's big. Yeah, man. So walk me through kind of like health, because I know I won't throw like a picture of what you look like before.
Dude, I'll throw a picture. I have a crazy one that I just came up the other day.
Yeah. I don't know if you can get a shot of this, Rob, but we'll see if you can.
Dude, look at this picture.
So what were you doing here? Because you were just working at a corporate gig, drinking like a motherfucker. Well, that you got a shirt on, so you can't really
Dude, look
tell.
at my face.
Yeah, you were a little puffy.
I was like 30 pounds heavier, but just
see.
like unhealthy, just like
Rob, you probably can't get that, but
traveling a lot, just eating a lot, drinking a lot, not working out.
I mean, that shirt, that outfit is, you know, for people just listening.
This screams like cocaine kingpin Miami, dude. This is like insane.
You got the bleach blonde hair.
Yeah.
You're a total douche. Yeah. So walk me through kind of that process of like, because you left that gig that you were at.
Well, I went through a breakup,
Right.
and we were living together, and I was still working at my former company, and I mean, I like dove into work, but I did not take my own advice. I always tell people, don't marry the company, don't marry the brand.
Sure.
And I kind of learned the hard way, because ultimately I ended up just, I just was not happy with myself, right? I kind of like dove straight into work, and it didn't really fulfill me as I thought it did. So then I ended up leaving, and I had to take I kind of prioritized my health, and I started working out, eating healthier, and then I actually ended up taking like 7 months off when I traveled.
Yeah.
So
you
in a
went
few
to lot of
different places,
right?
And I had never truly like been alone. I am, I think, a very independent person, but being like fully alone, like in Thailand, or like the dead middle of winter in Portugal, and like these little ghost towns, surfing, and just like
Just having fun.
Yeah, I mean, well, it wasn't so much that. Yes, it was fun, but it was more just like a lot of reflecting, spending time with myself, and like that can be scary for some people. So I think a lot of people will like go to therapy or like talk to people about their problems, and like I've done it all, but I think spending that time alone really like helped me grow as a person.
Yeah.
And then it kind of like, I obviously like I didn't love myself back then. I would like, again, the breakup kind of fucked with my head, and I was like,
Sure.
I'm not like good enough, whatever, you know, you make excuses for yourself, but
you self-sabotage a little bit.
Yeah, that's time alone just like helped me really like love myself again. And then that kind of like that energy and confidence like exudes, like you project it onto others, and
for sure.
It helped me land on my feet again. Career wise, I went to another company I spent a year at, and helped me learn a lot. It was also in the energy drink space, but I learned more on the trade marketing and sales side.
Yeah.
Which is super important for my end goal, which is, and now I'm super stoked about the role I'm in, which is to be a CMO of a CPG brand.
Nice.
But yeah, I was able to spend a year there and learn a lot about the trade, and then just didn't fully align with the priorities of the brand and how they were scaling.
Right.
And then it brought me to my new role now, which I'm super, super excited about.
That's awesome.
It's a big role, but
and this is at Raw.
yeah, it's at Raw Nutrition. So so I sit on the marketing team as the CMO. So I have Raw Nutrition, which is part of the portfolio. It's probably one of the larger brands. And then we have Revive, which is, so Raw is like your typical like protein, pre-workout, creatine, more like bro bodybuilding supplements.
Sure.
Revive, which is your collagen, your greens, your more traditional pills.
Supplements, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, Revive kills it. It's such a good brand. It's super, super high quality premium ingredients.
That's awesome.
We have Bum Energy, which is an energy drink. And we also have Vaughn's Treats, which is these like protein chocolate covered pretzels that are phenomenal. I wish I brought some.
Yeah, me too.
And so I have to send you some. So then it's just kind of managing each brand and all the creatives underneath, and the social team, the digital team, and athlete managers. And we're a lean team. I mean, for having 4 brands, I think our marketing team is at 25 people right now. 24, 25 people. So I've been there 3 months trying to figure out how to best play to people's strengths and put them in the right roles. I've already promoted a couple people. I've been able to hire some new people.
Nice.
So just really, for me as a leader, I like to win as much as I like the brand. I like to win. Yeah. And if how do I get there? I have to make sure I put in the right processes and I put in the people in the right roles to succeed.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is, the laying the groundwork of figuring people out, taking your time. I think sometimes because when I was in that role as well at a different company, sometimes they have expectations, and whether it's the owner, whoever you're reporting to, the CEO, they look at you like, hey man, we need like this, and we need this now.
Yeah.
Like we need this today. But really it's a matter of like
yesterday.
Yeah, dude. Like looking at your team, taking your time and realizing that this thing's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah.
And you got to figure out, like you said, the strengths and weaknesses of people. And that's how you're going to grow as a company overall. So
definitely. And I would add to that, I think half the battle too is getting because fortunately I do have a good relationship with ownership.
Nice.
The way I kind of got into this role was pretty authentic. Like it wasn't like a lengthy interview process. We just kind of like had a conversation, hit it off, and kind of asked me what my goals were, and I told him, and it was just kind of right place at the right time.
Yeah.
But
who wouldn't like you, Simon?
Can
you blame him?
There's a few people.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's always good to have some haters, it means you're doing something right. But there's, I think it's getting the buy-in from your team as well, right? And not just coming in as like, because I thought I was coming in and I was gonna have like 6 people, 8 people, and I'm like, all of a sudden it's like, okay, it's how many people are on this? Is there in this department? So it's like, you don't want to come in and be that guy from day one and like start just demanding shit from people, and like there's got to be a balance between authoritarian a little bit, but also like approachable, right? Super approachable, and being able to like communicate that relatable, but having that leadership. So I think I do a pretty good job with both sides of it. Like I love praising people for their successes, but also highlight their weaknesses and their failures all the time. Because if I'm not just gonna sugarcoat shit. I'm like, if something doesn't get done, like why?
Yeah.
You can, don't fuck up again. Yeah, right. So I don't want people making the same mistake twice.
Yeah.
And if they do, then we're going to have a problem.
Yeah.
So everyone's an adult. I'm out there to like, do people's job for them. I'll guide them and lead them as much as I can. But if you're not doing your job, it's going to reflect poorly on me. And like, I still have to report to somebody. And that person I'm reporting to owns the fucking company. So like, don't make me look bad. You know what I mean?
I feel like at least now, I don't know if it was the pandemic or anything, but there is a certain level of entitlement too, right? Like with people.
Oh my God.
Where it's like,
dude,
they don't
started.
Yeah. They don't want to do the work for what's expected.
No one wants to work anymore.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy.
It is crazy. And also too, like I push back a little bit, devil's advocate, where it's like me as a business owner now, I have that freedom to kind of do what I'm passionate about, which is interesting. But I think a lot of people, when they're in any position, doesn't matter what it is, especially if you're newer to that role, you need to do your time.
100%.
That's a lot of things where I think our parents, they come from like the world of like, pick yourself up from your bootstraps, and just if you get knocked down, keep getting up, and work at the mill and do whatever you got to do. But like now, it's almost like you got to earn your stripes a little bit more, and it's okay to ask for more money or to maybe work less hours because you want to spend time with your kid. Like I think all that is, from a company standpoint, I think people need to reevaluate some things. Mm-hmm. I mean, just going back to like having a kid, the paternity and maternity leave in a lot of companies is complete garbage. Mm-hmm. Like America is the only one that has strict less than 10 weeks for maternity leave.
Oh, wow.
A lot of other companies give it to both parties and still pay the employees, and it's a lot longer than the 9 weeks that most parents get. And I only bring that up because a lot of studies have come out recently where we know mental health is super important in the workplace, right? So like if you're asking a lot of people to work really, really hard and you're not giving them the reward for it, they're not going to want to work long term. And now you're creating a stressful environment. Mm-hmm. So I think there needs to be a balance of like, there's a lot of lazy people out there that don't want to work, but there's also like a lot of corporations, you gotta evolve with the times.
Sure.
There's a lot of companies that want to have people come in to the office every single day, no matter where you live or work. Mm-hmm. Like there needs to be some flexibility there, because I think one thing the pandemic did tell us, which kind of sucks for some companies, but it told us that you don't really need to go to office every day. Like a company like where you're at and the corporations I used to work at, it's important to go into the office. There's camaraderie, there's meetings, there's innovation, there's things going on. But if you're like at a basic sales job,
like a tech job,
you don't need to fucking go to the office.
No, you don't need an office and not a lot of overhead. Yeah,
right,
I agree. I will say, so the past year I spent working from home at a CPG brand, and like it was also a lot of like smaller company, and but for me, I just like I kind of get bored at home. I feel like I'm not getting shit done, even though I am. So it's like at my company now, it's super important for me to be in the office because obviously there's, like you said, I mean, I have 10, 11 meetings a day, like back to back to back. And people got to come to my office and they're always going to ask for something else. And like, I have to literally close the door of my office just because when I walk out there, it's just like, Simon. So it's like,
and you're in a very tangible business too. A lot of touch and feel.
Yeah. But, now I am, I've been doing like 3 days in office, like super long days, and then 2 days from home. And honestly, those 2 days from home are super helpful because I can just like bang out all my work. So when I'm in the office, again, I'm in meetings like nonstop.
Smart.
So those 2 days from home, I can actually like dive deep into my work and answer all my emails and schedule meetings for like the following week. So I think it's been a good balance so far, and I'm excited to see how that progresses.
That's great.
But I think personally for me, I am someone that just really thrives in an office setting.
Yeah. And I think, depending on the industry too, right? Like we mentioned, I mean, that industry is important that you're there. If not every day, a couple times a week. When it comes to like the American dream, I think it's shifted a little bit to where we're able to kind of adapt the workspace to appease folks to make it enjoyable. Because, I never realized that I had a passion for beverage when I was there for 15 years. And I kind of grew into that. Yeah. But then that kind of branched off into one other thing, which is I did marketing for a decade. And then I'm like, oh, I like content. And then, I like it so much, let me open up my own content business. So that it kind of led me to that. A corporation, whether you want to work for one or not, it's a really cool, so these fuckers that don't want to work anymore, it's like, it's a cool bridge to get you to what you want to do. Like you don't have to walk into day one and say, you know what, I'm only going to work 40 hours. I deserve to make 6 figures.
And I'm only going to be in digital marketing.
Yeah. It's like, dude, take your time, learn the ins and outs of everything. Because if you do want to get to one space, like I've learned so much from a marketing standpoint in my corporate jobs that now I do that from my own business. Yeah. But if I didn't do that, if I just started my business from scratch and not knowing all the marketing and the digital stuff, I'd be so lost.
100%. So and it's like, I heard this the other day on a podcast. It's from I forgot who it was, but a big time. Actually, it was a
Humanity Hashtag. Is that one?
It was another. It was a CMO podcast, but the guest was the founder of this big time headhunting company that focuses only on C-level, mainly CMOs. Nice. And they asked her if she could give advice for someone just starting out in marketing that wants to get to that kind of C-level. What's the best advice? And she said that the best CMOs come from backgrounds where they've almost like marketing generalists, where they've touched a little bit on everything, where you're good at many things, like not a master of one, but you're almost a quarterback. You're good at many facets within the marketing. I mean, events, field, the influencer and athlete side, the brand side, digital, and all of those also extended sales, right? Trade marketing. And it's all kind of like led me to my role now, where I understand I can sit down with somebody that's handling our TikTok account. I can sit down with our SVP of sales. I can sit down with our athlete manager and understand and be able to provide feedback and advice on every bit of that business. Where if I had, again, just stayed in field marketing, right, and just climb my way to the top of field marketing, one, you're sort of going to plateau. There's only so high, like a level you can reach when it comes to like events. But if I just stayed stagnant there, that's all I would know within marketing. And like marketing is so much more than just fucking events. You know what I mean? So that's what I tell people too. I'm like, it's okay to like, maybe you start off as a digital marketing coordinator, but like, what's your end goal, right? If you want to be a brand manager, you need to understand how all those pieces tie together. What's that? That's what I call a 360 approach, right? The 5 pillars of marketing. So don't be afraid to do a lateral move, right? It doesn't always have to be upwards. Do a lateral move to get experience about something completely different within the department. Yeah. And then you can start climbing upwards, right? So that's kind of, I would agree with that piece of advice from the podcast that I wish I knew the name of.
Yeah, we'll give him a shout out later. Yeah, no, it's great. So, I mean, it seems like you're in, and dude, to look at you, super proud of you, man, because to see kind of where we first met and to see where you're at now, it's fucking cool.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, dude. So well done, well deserved. And I would imagine you're in a much better place mentally.
Yeah, I'm happy.
Yeah, okay.
Much happier now.
Yeah. Not just with work, but just overall. You feel good about where you're.
Yeah, I'm happy with where I am mentally, my relationships.
Good. And then in terms of like fitness, are you doing?
I'm working out.
Surfing and shit, or?
No, I'm working out. We have a really cool gym at the office. Nice. It's actually a members gym.
Nice.
So it's massive. It's probably one of the coolest facilities in the country, if I'm being honest.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, you'll have to come check it out. It's gigantic.
Yeah.
So I work out probably like 3 days a week. And I'm trying to get back into running 2 to 3 days a week. Yeah. I was in really good shape before I started, and I've definitely put on a couple pounds since I started, but definitely not as bad as before. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure my cortisol levels are through the roof right now, but we're managing it for sure. But I do want to continue prioritizing my health more and more. And the great part is I work with people that
know a fuck.
Yeah, I mean they're all geniuses when it comes to that side. And
are you doing any like other therapy, like contrast therapy, or you do sauna, you do ice plunge, you do any of that?
No, but I want to get into yoga, I think.
Yeah.
Just because here's the thing, I've never loved yoga. It's always been like a challenge for me and a nuisance, but that's why I want to do it. I want to get comfortable with the uncomfortable. I've done that, and with my job, I've always been good in uncomfortable situations. Now I want to do it for my body.
Have you done hot yoga?
Yeah, I hate it.
It's the worst.
Hate it. I fainted one time when I did it, but I want to get into some sort of yoga or meditation because it's always been a big challenge for me.
Yeah.
And I want to combat that. I play a lot of pickleball. A lot.
Do you
I used to play like 5 days a week.
You fucking pickleball. I don't get the appeal, man, because just in the last couple of years, and my father's into it now too. Okay. Like he's busting my balls that I'm not into it. I'm just like, I get it. I mean, I'll try, but
it's kind of stupid, but it's so much fun. I get real competitive with it too.
Here's what I don't like about it. You ready? I don't like how fast it's coming.
Yeah.
That to me is more annoying. It's almost like the vegan thing. And this is coming from a vegan.
Yeah.
I don't tell people I'm vegan unless I know them.
Yeah.
Because the one thing they say is like, oh, you're hopping on the trend.
Yeah.
That's the pickleball thing for me. It's like I'm not doing it out of spite because everyone's doing it. I'm just not a fan of the looks you get. Or it's the same people. Again, this is a guy that has a Tesla. It's the guy that has a Tesla that always tells you shouldn't have a F-150.
Yeah.
I'm not that guy, but that's the reason why people don't like Teslas is because it's what's attached to it.
Yeah.
And I feel like the pickleball community, like there was even something here in Florida. I forget what national forest it is, but there's a national park that they want to rip down.
Yes, it's in Hope Sound. It's in Hope Sound.
And they want to rip it down and build a resort and a
golf course
and a pickleball court.
Pickleball.
Yeah. And I'm like, if the demand for pickleball wasn't there, this wouldn't be a thing. It's like, but I get the appeal.
I also think it's slowing down, to be honest.
Is it
They
really?
just opened a facility up by where I am, and it's like empty.
I swear to God, if it's in the Olympics in the next couple of years.
Oh, it will be for sure. And better. The breakdancing is in the Olympics. Come on. Breakdancing does have deep culture and history, though.
And it took them like 50 years to get there. So we'll let them have 2024.
Yeah.
They've been around for a while.
You saw the Australian breakdancer? That was wild.
Did you see her apology?
No.
I feel so bad for her.
Really?
Well, because she's
like, genuine?
Yeah. Well, because, she thinks she did good.
I would love to sponsor her. Everyone knows her now.
I think you should.
Everyone knows her.
You should pull like the Ryan Reynolds thing and just bring on everybody that is like a joke to your company and make an ad for it. It'd be interesting to see. Like, it'd be a funny ad. Like, if I was a CMO of any company, I would bring her on.
Yeah, it's better for you. Premium ads shit is old now. Yeah. You have to stand out, right? Liquid Death unfortunately did that to everyone. Where now you need to have like a funny angle. There's another drink company out there called Lucky Fuck Energy, and they have this hilarious ad where they take a bunch of just like average athletes, like everyday athletes,
right? And
their whole thing is like, we're an energy drink that's for everyday people, not just like professional athletes. And it's hilarious, super memorable.
And it's just regular Joe Schmoes.
It's a fat dude in like a Speedo swimming laps. It's a dude playing basketball with like misses. It's just like really, really funny how they produced it. So you got to start thinking that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and appealing to the consumer too. I think the consumer wants that.
Being relatable.
Yeah, relatable, 100%. That raw, authentic. People don't, look at all the celebrities getting bashed, right? Like the Blake Lively's, the J-Lo's, like all these folks that were like super influential, Kim Kardashian. Like there was even a movement on TikTok to unfollow celebrities. Because
it's
people
like,
aren't respecting celebrities anymore.
Think about, there's always been like the professional athletes and celebrities and those endorsements, right? Which are more...
it's an endorsement.
Exactly. So it's not really... And then influencers became a thing because they were more aspirational and more relatable. Right. But now influencers have sort of like gone so far down that,
celebrity
exactly.
style.
So they're all kind of in that same group now. So it's like, what's next?
Yeah.
Right? How do we relate to consumers once again? So...
And that's where UGC comes in.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's where, Tony Barota comes in. So if you need UGC services,
he's your guy.
I'm your guy. No, but it's great to catch up with you, man. It's been way too long.
I know.
I'm kind of glad you're hooking up with this girl in Tampa now.
Yeah, it works out.
Selfishly,
I'll be seeing you a lot more.
This is exciting.
Yeah.
Now it's Mia, right?
Mia,
don't you ever move to Miami. This guy's going to try to get you down there. No, just stay in Tampa. It's great over here. You just need to open up a second office up here. What's your owner's name at Raw? Dom, my guy. Tampa's beautiful. Open up a second office. You know what I mean? We'll take care of you here. But yeah, Tampa's great, man.
It's been all right so far.
Miami's
no, it's not bad.
Yeah.
I'm not in Miami anymore. You know that. I'm in Boca.
Oh, that's right.
Boca Raton. I've been there for 2 years now.
Oh, that's right.
I remember.
Okay. Yeah,
I can't stand Miami.
Yeah, Miami's the worst.
Awful.
Yeah.
I was there for like 10 years.
Problem is though, everything's in Miami. Like that's where you test everything. That's where,
But I love Boca.
Yeah.
Boca's so cool.
Even just South Miami. I mean, if you're a beverage company in particular, like that's where you get. It's a melting pot.
There's some flavor houses there too.
Yeah, it's a melting pot. So it's a good market to be in for sure.
Well, it's also the entry port to like South America, right?
That too. Yeah.
When it comes to innovation, when it comes to new trends,
that's right.
Everything starts in Miami. So
everything's there. Yeah. No, but it's good, man. Proud of you. I'm glad you're kicking some ass, taking some names. Let everyone know where they could find you. Look in that camera. Let them know your socials. Raw Nutrition. Check that out. Give them some shout outs. What you got going on?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty private with my socials, but you guys can check out Raw Nutrition on Instagram. I think it's Get Raw Nutrition.
Nice.
And then Bum.energy and Revive as well.
And Bum's very good. We just tried some.
Yeah, check them out.
Yeah, that's good.
It's fire.
Cool. Can I leave your socials below? You want me to do that?
Yeah. I mean, mine is pretty easy. Simon Says.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very original.
Very original.
But this was good.
Thanks, dude.
Simon, thanks for coming on.
I appreciate you.
And MMG Studios, thank you for hosting the Humanity Hashtags podcast. We will see you next time.
Thank you.
We're out.